Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at ArchLinux. Yes, the ArchLinux. You're probably thinking, what? Are you kidding me? Arch? That's like for the big boys and girls. I'm only at level 22. This is for level 50. What's up with that? Well, yes, this is the Arch. I'm at archlinux.org/download at the download page, and Mustafa had pointed out to me that the new ArchLinux has an installer in it now, a guided installer. And so I want to take a look at that because this might make the whole Arch process a little bit less intimidating maybe for some intermediate users. I'm pretty sure the installer is probably not something on the level of a Calamares where you can just, walk through it like you're installing Manjaro, but it probably does make the process a little bit more inviting for people that are not familiar with the Arch way of things. And from the way I understand it, the installer is kind of a controversial thing. You have two camps, and one camp says, yes, it should have an installer, make it a little more inclusive for people. The other camp says, absolutely not. You shouldn't have an installer in there because we want to keep out the riffraff. They don't want to do it the traditional Arch way. Screw them. So, yeah, I mean, you have both sides of the argument, and, I can understand both sides, actually, I suppose. However, I think the installer, personally, is a great idea. And I really like the idea that they put it in there. So, the current release here, this is as of April 1st, 2021, and it's not an April Fool's joke. It's really there. And so if you go here, and I went out to the installer website because I clicked the link here, and it looks like that it's using the ArchInstall, the Python script ArchInstall from the Torxed GitHub repository. So this is kind of cool. And so I was looking it over, and so this is kind of how you can install it if you don't already have the ISO if you're on a current Arch image. And then I'm going to be testing this in Virt-Manager using KVM, QEMU, and all that. And so in here, it looks like that you need to be in an EFI environment. And so what I'm seeing here is that it's kind of using the OVMF and blah, blah, blah. So I think what I'm going to have to do is to run this properly in Virt-Manager, I'm going to probably have to set it up specifically for this type of EFI stuff. And I'll show you how I do that too. So that way, if you want to follow along and you're using Virt-Manager, you can kind of do the same thing. Now with that said, I don't know if this is going to actually work because I haven't tried it yet. I'm going into this by the seat of my pants. So if it fails, you probably won't see this video. But if it works, then if you're watching me right now, then it worked. So let's go ahead and get this and check it out. So first of all, here we have a torrent download. So I can just go ahead and get the magnet link here. And by the way, there's also virtual images that are available that have the basic ArchLinux install already done. If you want to get it done for you, kind of like a VM image, I think you can also get the virtual box as well. So you can do that, but it's not really in the installer environment. So if you want to really just install it using the installer, which what we're going to do, then we actually need the ISO. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ISO, download it, and then I'll be right back in Virt-Manager. Okay, I'm in Virt-Manager now, Virtual Machine Manager. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. And the reason I'm going through this is because I think we need to have this in an EFI environment when we do this install. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to boot properly. So let's just go ahead and make a new virtual machine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus button up here. And then we're going to go ahead and select the ISO that we just downloaded. So I'm just going to go forward and jump in here, and I already got it in my list. So it would be right here. This ArchLinux 2021.04.01 is the time of this video. And so now I'm going to uncheck the automatically detect because it's not detecting it as an Arch. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that in and select it. And then let's go forward. And for our memory, let's just put in 4 gigs of RAM. So that would be 4096. And I'll just leave the CPU at the default. And then we'll just leave that at the default. I think 20 gigs is good for a test here. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it create. And then here we would give it a name. And right now it's doing ArchLinux-2 because I already have an ArchLinux up here. And I think that's good. I'll just leave it at that. Now the important part. We want to go ahead and click Customize Configuration before install. And then let's go ahead and click Finish. And now we have our window here, and it's at the overview. And you'll notice down here where we have firmware, by default it's at BIOS. And that's where it would go if we would have created this without customizing. And you can't change it once you create it. So this is why we got to customize it before we actually complete the process. So down here under BIOS, we're going to select the drop down, and we want to select this right here, the UEFI x86_64 blah 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 OVMF _code.fd. So let's go ahead and select that, and then we'll go ahead and hit apply, and with luck that'll work. All right, so now if we go up here, we see our SATA CD-ROM with our virtual CD with our ISO loaded here. And then we have our virtual 20 gig hard drive that we created when we set this up. So now that we have our environment, let's go ahead and see if we can install this guy using the installer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click Begin Installation. And it created the virtual machine and opened it up here. So let's jump in. I'm going to go full screen. And here we have our ArchLinux install with the UEFI. Excellent. So let's go ahead and hit that. All right, and here we are. We are in our Arch ISO. So, nice. I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I remember right. The install, to call the installer, it's ArchInstaller, if I remember right from the documentation. And I don't think you probably have to put in all the Python stuff in there. I'm just going to try ArchInstall first. Yeah, there we go. So we have our guided install. And so to start out, it's saying select one of the above keyboard languages. And for us, that would be US, which is the last choice there, number 21. So I'm going to hit that, hit enter. All right. And now it's asking to select one of the above regions here to download packages from. And I'm going to go with the United States since I live there, and that looks like it's option 50. So I'm going to hit 50. Whoops. I'm going to hit 50 here. Okay. Now let's select one of the above disks. And our 20 gig hard drive that we created looks like it's option number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 2 and enter. Select one of the above disks. Select which file system your main partition should use. I kind of like ButterFS. Hopefully that's going to work. What it's not clear about is if this is going to like partition this in a couple of different partitions, and you know, the boot partition, if it does, should be like FAT32 or like a FAT, VFAT. Well, let's just go with it. I'm going to just say 0 for ButterFS. And then enter a disk encryption password or leave blank for no encryption. I think I'll just go ahead and leave it blank because I don't really need encryption in a virtual. Desired host name for the installation. Okay, I guess we can give it a name like, yeah, let's just call it Toadwick-PC. And enter a root password or leave blank to leave root disabled. I think I'll just go ahead and leave that blank and leave the root off. And then create a required super user. Okay. With sudo privileges. So we'll just call him Jack. And then for the password, we'll type that in. And then type it in one more time to verify. All right. Now enter a username to create an additional user or to leave blank to skip and continue. So I'm going to go ahead and skip. And now, let's see it. Enter a pre-programmed profile name if you want to install one. Wow, okay, so here we can actually add a desktop if we want. Or we can skip it and just have the headless Arch environment. Let's install a desktop. No guts, no glory, right? So we got awesome desktop. Okay, GNOME, KDE Wayland, and Zorg. Okay, so it seems like you would kind of need like Zorg. Yeah, okay, well I'm assuming you can only select one option. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to hit option 3, which is the KDE desktop environment. And we'll just kind of go for it. So hit enter. And now you need to select your video driver. Okay, so this is something that's good to know in advance. So you should know what your video driver is in advance if you're doing this on a machine. By the way, I would recommend, you know, unless you really know what you're doing, I would only do this on a virtual machine and not your production machine. So you definitely don't want to do that. But since I'm in a virtual environment, I'm assuming that maybe the VMware option is the one I want to go with. So I'm going to hit 6. And write additional packages to install. Separate by spaces. Or leave blank to skip over. Yeah, let's try something. Just to see if it works. How about OBS Studio? Space. And maybe Firefox. Yeah, that'll be a good test just to see if it works. Okay, select one network interface to configure or to leave blank to skip. So option 0 is copy the ISO network configuration to the installation, or use EMP1S0, which I believe is probably the detected card. This is a tough call. I'm assuming that 0, copy ISO network config, is probably the config that it auto-detected when I'm on here, because obviously I must be connected to the network so it can download the stuff that it needs to do the install. I'm assuming. Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, so, you know, and that's an assumption. Maybe it's not going to pull anything off the network. Oh, let's just do 0 and see what happens. If this doesn't work, then, you know, we'll just try again later. So we'll find out if 0 was the right option or not. Enter a valid time zone. Okay, so if you don't know your time zone, you might want to look that up. I think, you know, on your current machine you can use, what's the command for it? I think it's date time CTL space list hyphen time zones. I think if you type that in, you should get a list of all your time zones, and it'll give you a whole list. I happen to know mine, and that would be America / new _ York. So I'm going to go enter that. And okay, so now it looks like it's giving me a summary of stuff here. So we have packages, OBS Studio, Firefox, profile is our kde.python script. Super users is me with a password. Hey, I didn't type 7 stars or 6 stars. I had letters in there. What's up with that? Nah, I'm kidding. Then we have our time zone, America / New York, and no additional users. So press enter to continue. Here goes. Okay, so now it looks like it's formatting our 20 gig hard drive we created. And it went ahead and mounted some stuff, put in an updated mirror list. And this is why I'm kind of assuming that the option 0 for the networking, pulling it from the ISO, would just kind of have the configuration I'm looking for, because it's obviously pulling a mirror list that theoretically probably updated, maybe, maybe not. So yes, now it looks like it's installing our base development, Linux, our basic packages here. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause it for a second until it gets to the next level, because this could take a while. And then we'll see where we're going next. Okay, it's gotten up to the next level, so that only took about a minute or so. So now it's enabling our systemd services, resolved, and now it's installing our OBS Studio and Firefox packages. So it didn't complain about that. That's a cool sign. And given that it installed that, then obviously we must be on a network. So cool. I'm hoping the networking is going to work. That's the only thing I'm not really quite sure about right now, is if networking is going to just kind of be working off the bat when this is done, assuming this works. I'm in the dark about this, so we'll see how it goes. This is really interesting so far. I kind of like this idea of an installer. And so now we've gotten up to the next level. We got our Zorg server and Zorg.net. Our video VMware and drivers are getting installed. And it looks like our Plasma Meta and KDE applications and our SDDM. So great. Getting the managers in there. And yeah, the base packages up above there didn't take long at all. I think it was maybe a little over a minute. And so we got Nano and our ButterFS programs, EFI Boot Manager. Very cool. Okay, so the KDE applications is probably going to take a couple more minutes, I would assume. So I'm going to go ahead and pause again, and I'll be back. All right, it looks like it's completed, and it says that it completed without any errors. You may now reboot. Nice. All right, well, let's try that. Let's see if it actually worked. So I'm going to go ahead and hit reboot. And now the big test. Wahoo! It worked. Check that out. I was able to bungle my way into a complete vanilla Arch install with KDE. How cool is that? Let's go ahead and log in. And here's our KDE environment coming up. Yay, and now we have our desktop. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and just jump up my resolution here. Whoops. And then that way it looks more normal. And then we'll check this baby out. So I'm just going to jump in here and jump down to my display and monitor and set the display resolution to 1920 by 1080. And then hit apply. And all right, that's the other thing. You got to change your settings in Virt-Manager to be Virt.io, and by default I think it's at QXL, which doesn't let you change that. So I'll need to just kind of do that real quick. And we'll jump into our hardware details, display video QXL, and we're going to change that to Virt.io and hit apply. I should have done that at the beginning, so sorry about that. And then I'll just go ahead and boot back in, hit our play there. And now just pop in here, do our 1920 by 1080, and you can see we have a lot more options too there. So hit apply, and we're good. Excellent. Okay, so here we are in our environment. And so there's a couple things I'm curious about. We got our show desktop, our clock, hidden icons. So let's jump into our console. But if I install something like, let's just say Blender. It just jumps right in there. We can say yes. And if I open up, let's see what we have for our web browser. So we have Firefox in here. And so OBS Studio should also be there, which is there. So that's cool. We can kind of list those out. I'm just going to open up Firefox real quick just to verify that we have internet and all that good stuff. So if I just go out to Google, excellent, we're good there on our networking. All right. So I'm just going to hit network interfaces here. And you can see that we have our networking. There's our ENP1S0. Nice. So it's showing that it's up and it's all good. Glad to see that. Nice. Cool. So now that we verified our networking, let's see what is in our basic install. Wonder if we have HTOP. Nope. So let's install that real quick. I know we could use top, but I just like HTOP better. It's just a comfort thing, I guess. So we'll go yes. And then run it. And let's see where we're at right off the bat. So 619 megs right now we're using here in a clean install. Not too shabby. 1620, 1622. So yeah, not bad at all. That's nice. So we got our vanilla Arch running really efficiently right now. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of that. I hit F10, by the way. And so let's see what's in here by default. So under development, we have translation, web development, got our image mapper. Nice. Qt Fish, KDevelop. So we got We got all our KDE apps in here, looks like. Qt Designer. Nice. So I would probably add in here like Qt Creator if I wanted to do some Qt programming in C++ or Python. Let's see, under education, we got our math stuff. Games, we got cool arcade games. Wow, check all that out. K-Bounds. Really just kind of installed all the KDE stuff. That's neat. I'm going to go ahead and go into this configuration here because I just want to switch tabs on hover. I like that better. Maybe it's tabs. Let me hit apply real quick. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's better. I like that better. So wow, yeah. Loaded up with games here. Arcade, board games. Nice, Mahjong. Yeah, lots of stuff to doodle your time with. Cool and groovy. Card games, games for kids, logic, tactics. Nice. And under graphics, let's see what we have by default. We got Blender that we installed to test our networking a little bit there. And we got Ocular. And what's under more? Ah, color chooser, always handy. And K-Ruler, nice, to measure your screen. Under internet, we got Firefox, Avahi, Contact, Print Theme Editor, nice. Instant Messenger contacts, KDE Connect for connecting to a mobile device. KGet, KMail, Conqueror. Yeah, KTorrent. Pretty good. And then under our multimedia, there's our OBS Studio we installed during install. Then we have KMix, Kdenlive. Nice. Default there. K3B. By the way, I'm liking the new Kdenlive. It's working. I mean, I did a review a few videos back where, you know, I was comparing Kdenlive to Shotcut, and one of the deal killer issues they had is that my shortcut for removing spaces was not holding up. It kept stopped working after a few times, and it looks like that's been resolved in the new Kdenlive. So that's really nice, and I've been kind of playing with that a little bit, and it's working really great. So yeah, the debate is on Kdenlive versus Shotcut. And here's our Office programs. Kind of your basic stuff by default. So we could always install something like OnlyOffice or WPS Office or LibreOffice. And then our system files. So yeah, it looks like we got a pretty nice default vanilla KDE install here. Really looking good. I guess what I would add, I suppose, would probably be like PAMAC, our package manager. So let's put that in real quick. So, whoops, I closed my console. Rats. So let's just open that again. So yeah, first I want to put on something like Yay or Yowert. So let me just get on here real quick in case we don't have it already, which I don't think we do, but let's see. Okay, cool. All right, so now that we got Git on here, let's jump into our web browser, because I forgot we got to Git clone this. So what I'm doing is I'm installing Yay, so we got support for the AUR. So let's just do GitHub Yay Arch. See what we get here. Okay, yet another yogurt. All right, yay, we found Yay. So let's go ahead and let's just double check to make sure we have our base development on here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and paste it into our console. And let's do that again, except as root. So we'll do sudo. And looks like we already got it, so we're good there. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this git clone and get our yay git. And just to be neat, I guess I'll just change into my downloads folder. So I'm going to do cd downloads. Whoops. See what we got in here. Oh, okay, only desktop. Right. We are fresh, aren't we? That's good. So I'm just going to make a directory. I mean, you don't have to do this, but it's just neater to do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and make my directory downloads. And then I'm going to change into it. Here we go. And then I'm going to just paste that git clone command in here. And press enter. And that was quick. So now let's change into our yay directory. And then make it. So make package -si. All right, we're getting somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. And so I'm just kind of going over some things you want to do once you get a vanilla install here, just to kind of, you know, get you a little bit more where you want to be. All right, now we have yay. Yay. Now let's get PAMAC. So I'm going to go ahead and type yay -uppercase S and then PAMAC -AUR. All right. So we're going to go with the default, and then we'll just hit enter, let it do its default answer, and hit enter again. And here we go. So yes. Okay, and there we have it. Our PAMAC is installed, our package manager. So now we have access to the AUR using yay, and we have our package manager. So I think that's probably stored under system here by default, maybe. Of course, we can use the old reliable method of using alt and space. So we can call up our KRunner and just type it in. So let's just say add. And there it is, add or remove software. And here we are. So we have our package manager. Yay! And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to run over here to our preferences and then authenticate with our password. And under third party, I'm going to enable AUR support because I like having the AUR there. And so that all looks good. And then under general, check for updates. That's always a plus. Automatically download. So here's where we can add in any options if you like. I think the defaults are pretty good there overall. And that's all good. Okay. So yes, mainly I just wanted to enable the AUR support there. Very good. Now we have all our different categories. Here's our search. So if we want to search for something like, and so anything we want to add in here, we got our package manager. So now we're kind of opened up to visually installing packages if you don't like using the terminal. And that's always a plus. So if we wanted to put Chromium on here, for example, we got it right there and we can go ahead and install it. Good to go, easy peasy. Nice. So now we actually are to the point where we have a system that we can actually kind of use as our daily driver and kind of build from here. Let's explore our settings real quick. So in our settings, you can see we have all our normal stuff here. And by default, we're using the Breeze for our global theme. And we also have Breeze Twilight, which I like, is kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and hit that, hit apply. And now we got a dark taskbar down below and dark up here in our menu. Nice. Yeah, we still have a light background, which I like. So that's very cool. Let's take a look at our styles. We have our plasma style, which is Breeze Dark right now. Application style is using the Breeze, which is good. I like that. And then under colors, we got the Breeze Light. That's all good. Window decorations, Breeze. So what if we want to fancy it up a bit? Well, we could just kind of go under plasma style here, hit new, get new plasma styles. And then let's sort by, let's sort by highest rated. And we got rounded and we got KDE. Rounded is kind of right up there with sweet. Wow, nice. Okay, I'm going to sweetify this baby. So I'm going to go ahead and hit install. And then close. And there's our suite. So I'm going to hit that. Hit apply. And now we got the sweetified stuff. Wow, nice. Okay, and as you can see, it looks pretty transparent here in the menu, and that's because I'm in a virtual machine, so it's not really giving me my OpenGL look that I like. And that's just because of the limitations of being in a virtual, but on a real actual hardware, this would actually look more solid. You'd have a nice texturized background here instead of this clear look. So you want to keep that in mind. That's only because of the limitations here on being on a VM and my video virtual hardware. And now I'm going to go ahead and change my icons too. I'm going to go click Get New Icons. And I want to install the beauty line. So I'm going to go ahead and hit beauty line in my search bar up here. And there they are. That's a really cool set of icons. So I'm going to hit that. That kind of follows along with the theming with the dragonized Garud Linux, which is pretty awesome. I just kind of like the look overall. And so that kind of gets me there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit use and close. And there's my beauty line icons. Gorgeous. Nice. All right. Then let's bring up Dolphin. And that's looking good. All right. So if I click on one of these guys, you can see single click. And if you don't like the single click kind of thing there to change directories and all that, that can be changed easily by jumping back out of here, out of our themes. And then we just want to scroll down to input devices. And first of all, I'm going to turn on my num lock because I like that on by default. Hit apply. And now let's go down to mouse, not mouse. So we got our num lock. So I'm going to just back out of here again and back onto our mission. Single click. And to do that, I believe that's under workspace behavior. And then clicking files or folders selects the item and not opens them. Opens them will open it in a single click. Selecting them will require a double click. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. Now if I go over here and I select that, it just selects instead of puts me in there. So there we are. So now our home folder has our downloads folder, which we created earlier, and a desktop folder. So if you want to add in the other stuff that you're kind of familiar with, like your music folder and all that. We could actually just kind of do that manually, really. So I could just go over here, folder, and just do pictures. And then right click and do it again. You can also just hit F10 and then do music. This time I'm just going to hit F10 and we'll create one called videos. All right, there we go. Now it kind of looks more like a default install that you might get off of, you know, like Garud or Manjaro or something. So we have desktop downloads, music, pictures, videos, and maybe we want them over here too, quick access. So like maybe we jump into their downloads all the time. So we can just go ahead and right click on that and then select add to places. And now it's over here. Nice. And we can do the same thing with like our pictures and videos. So let's add those guys too. And then videos, add to places. And now we got easy access to these guys right here. Very cool. All right. That makes life easier. So this is really starting to come together now. Looking good. We got cool icons, nice background. Looks like we could use an icon there though for a menu. So let's just kind of jump up to our little configuration dealie here. And let's select icon, choose. And let's see if we got anything to choose from. So in the search here, I'm just going to type in, I think it would be start, maybe. And here we have a nice Arch. So that's kind of cool. I mean, this is an Arch install after all, so let's go with it. And then hit apply. And now we got our Arch startup icon. That looks better. Nice. Cool. All right. Yeah, it's coming together. Loving it. So if we jump back out of here, and all the rest of our stuff are pretty straightforward. Here we can go ahead and set some additional keyboard shortcuts if we want to add them in here. This is where we could kind of customize them to open certain windows and all that good stuff. Our startup and shutdown. So in here we have our default login screens, and Breeze is our default right now. Or if you want to add something new, we can jump in here. And actually the suitified startup is really cool too. So I'm going to go ahead and hit suite. And we have our sweet Mars and our sweet, and then we have sugar candy. Oh yeah, that one's even cooler. I forgot about that one. I'm going to go with that, actually. There we go. So I'm going to close out of there. And there's our sugar. And let's hit apply. And then here's our auto start services. Anything we want to add in here to start automatically on login. Here's our background services currently running. Desktop session. And I usually keep these at the default. By default, it's restore previous saved sessions. If you just prefer starting with an empty session every time, you can just go down here and select that, and it'll just kind of clear out your previous stuff. So that's always an option that can be preferred by many people. And our task scheduler, which is always a nice feature if you want to schedule things to run at certain times automatically. And now our users. So here's me, Jack, and if I want to give myself a cool looking icon, which I don't really have anything custom on here, but there's a lot of cool things here that you can choose from that are here in the default. So nice, yeah. I kind of like the parrot. So I'll go with the parrot. All right, this is really looking like a real install now. And there's my parrot up there. That'll also show up in your login screen when you log in and out. And let's take a look at our new login that we just selected here. So I'm going to log out real quick and see how it looks. So let's hit log out. All right, that looks cool. And by the way, on real hardware, this would be full screen and not, you know, like so scrunchy here, but nice. And we have our session selector here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So yeah, it looks like our login screen there changed really nice. All right, and let's see what we have under our audio. So it looks like we have audio in here by default, which is good. And CDs. Then our power management settings. Switch off after 10 minutes. Typically I like 35. I think I'll just crank that up a little bit. And that's all good. And then we got our Bluetooth settings. So yeah, looking great. Printers, if you want to add printers, removable storage settings, nice. Digital camera, devices. So we can automatically mount those if you like, which I kind of like. So let's just do that. And then showing our storage devices right now. And we got our 20 gig drive here with 8 gigs free. Not bad. All right. Thunderbolt. Then we have our system information. So we're running our X11 graphics here, 5.11.11, Arch 1-1 kernel. Nice. With Qt 5.15.2 and 5.80 framework and our 5.21 plasma version, .4. Nice. So everything is right up to date, of course. And then even has our virtual information here for our virtual machine. And then our update status. Right now, update software manually. You can also set that to automatically if you just like automatic updates. So yes, all looking good. So I think if I didn't miss anything major, I covered all the basics. So this is really amazing. This is, to me, a really big deal. I mean, now you can go out to the ArchLinux.org website, download the official Arch ISO, and install it using an installer, just like I did. And so even if you're not super advanced, you don't have to miss out on a vanilla Arch install because you're intimidated or maybe you're not quite ready to follow the traditional steps of an Arch way. Although I would recommend doing that because installing Arch the traditional way is a great way to understand Linux. So yeah, I wouldn't write that off. But the fact that you have the installer, to me, I think is going to be a game changer for a lot of people. And it's going to encourage more people to want to explore Arch from its roots, from a more machine level, so to speak. I guess that's probably not the best way to describe it, but I think it's going to be a good thing, a net positive. So I believe that was really a great decision on the Arch team's behalf. So yes, I think that was a great way to go. So I give this a double thumbs up. I really like the fact that you can do this. And sure, the installer is all console based and you got to kind of know a few things. In the description below, I'm going to go ahead and enter in kind of a short cheat sheet so you're kind of covered on the time zones and I think your video drivers. So you want to know your video, what kind of video chipset you got in your computer if you're using hardware. And again, I would do this on a VM first before you do it on hardware, unless you feel pretty confident or you got something that you know you're not going to trash important data. So yeah, excellent. So that covers it. Now we can do a vanilla Arch, even if you're a bungler like me. I bungled my way into installing this, and yeah, took it by the seat of my pants. I really kind of went in, didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure if it was even going to install, to be quite honest. But it did. So yeah, I'm real happy about that. And that should cover it. And I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and hit subscribe. I appreciate it. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.